In this video, you will get to know about what is meant by data. So data means raw facts. So why we call data as raw facts? Why? Because data is completely unstructured. Data is completely unprocessed. We can also say this as uncooked or unrefined. Data is completely got no meaning. It lacks context. That is it has got no meaning at all. Data is independent in nature. Data is primary. Data is source. We can also say this as source data, atomic data. We can also say this as AGI data. So data is represented by these words. So why data is represented by these words? Let's get to know about it. Yeah, the first thing is unstructured. Why we call data is completely unstructured? Yeah, so if you look at this thing, the content that is there inside the slides, there are numbers, words, photos, completely messy and scattered. What I meant to say is numbers in one place, names in one place, photos in one place, completely unstructured. So if you look at this, the same data is being transformed into tabular format with names, with tabular format, with rows and columns, completely structured. So this is information, this is data. So if you look at this data, raw data, this is completely unstructured. That is not there in the tabular format, any format, chart or pie graph. No chart or pie chart, just represented in ununderstood. It's completely can't understood. Yeah, it's irrelevant, completely can't be understood. So that's why we call data is unstructured. So the next one is unprocessed. Why data is called as unprocessed? Because if you look at this, there is a mistake. There is a spelling mistake for this word Sri Lanka, and there is a grammatical mistake for Kumar word. There is underscore present. So if you look at this information, there is no mistake of this country name Sri Lanka and Kumar. These mistakes are rectified. This is processed. This is unprocessed. This is unprocessed because no mistakes are corrected here. So hence we say data is unprocessed because no mistakes are corrected. We can also say this as uncooked or unrefined too. So the next thing is lacks context. If you look at this content, does this provide any kind of meaning? This doesn't provide any meaning at all. It can't be understood because numbers. So what does this number represent? Does it represent age, weight, or height? What? So if you look at this tabular format, it's completely represented in the form of rows and columns, where columns represents the properties, field properties for the below rows. Yeah, this completely, it has got meaning, it has got context. If you look at this data has got no context at all. Hence we say this as data has got no context, no meaning at all. So data can also be called as independent. Why? Because so independent, primary, so source and atomic, all these things are similar. So why? Because I will just explain an example why data is called as independent, primary, source, atomic. So I have got a requirement from my client to tell about myself. So tell about myself. I have got a requirement from a client to tell about myself. So I'm going to write. So I am John from years with age 40. So this is the content that I have prepared myself. I have prepared from myself. This content I have not taken from anywhere. So I have not collected this content from anywhere. I created myself. So hence this is independent. This is not dependent on anyone, anything. It's not derived from anywhere. I have created. So this is known as independent. This also be called as primary, means base data. So initial data, we can also say this as initial data. Why? Because source is you can also primary, you can also say this as initial because it's the place where data is born. It's the static data. We can also say source or initial data. Primary also known as base data. From this data so many things will be created. In the next step we'll get to know about a lot of things from this data. It's the initial data. We can also say this as atomic data. Atomic data is nothing but data that cannot be further divided, because it's the first initial data that we have taken, right? It can't be further divided. It's the first data that we have taken. Yeah, it's also known as AGI. So hence we call data in the data is represented in these words. I hope you have understood what is meant by data. Now let's get to know more about data. So according to the 2024 reports, there are 8 billion world population present across the world. Out of 8 billion world population, near 5 billion people using the internet. Just imagine how much data is being created. So according to the 2024 reports, 120 zettabytes of data is being created across the internet. 120 zettabytes of data. 120 zettabytes of data is very huge. So 0.3 zettabytes of data is being created every day. To store this much amount of data, we require lot of space to store. So hence people have created, companies and organizations have introduced, have created, have invented a thing called data centers. So these data centers are the place, is a location where inside this data center location there are a lot of servers and databases. What I mean to say, databases or data storage devices, along with there are lots of network equipments like switches, routers. So many things will be present in the data centers. So to store this much amount of data and to handle this much of data, so we require data centers. So the data centers has lot of storage devices, network devices. Yeah, so nearly 10,978 data centers that are available around the world, entire world. Nearly 10,978 data centers is so huge. Out of this, 5,388 data centers are occupied by the nation called US, and 522 data centers are occupied. The next one is Germany, stays on the top 2, and 517 data centers are occupied by UK. So these are the topmost data centers countries that are occupied. US stands in the top. So I hope you have understood what is meant by data. So in the next coming videos you'll get to know a lot of information about data. Thank you.